today's video is going to be on my top 10 favourite brushes. I'm doing this video because I think that brushes are the secret to creating good makeup and makeup that blends well and can look as natural as it can. And I think that with bad brushes that are quite poor quality, it can lead to your whole overall makeup look looking not as great, not as how good you would like it to be. And I especially think when it comes to face makeup, good brushes are really important, especially with all the contour and highlight things going on. I think that to have make it look as natural as possible, you need to have good brushes. So there are mainly face brushes in here because, like I've said before, I take most of my time on doing my base and my highlight and things like that. I don't focus that much on my eyes. Sometimes I will, but for day to day I'm more about focusing on my face and my base makeup. So that is why in this video there are mostly face brushes. So I have them all in here in this pot, my favourite ones. So as I said, I'm going to feature 10 different brushes and share with you my favourite ones. So to start off, I have my all-time favourite highlighter brush. It just applies your highlighter so nicely all across the cheekbone especially, and then also to the high points of your face, and it just spreads your highlight, blends it really well and makes it look natural and hits the right points of your face. So this is the Spectrum C01 brush. So it looks like this. It's a fan brush. It's the large fan brush, I believe, and I just love the colours of this brush. It just looks so pretty on my dressing table, and I just think the fact that it blends so nicely and works so well with my highlighter is a big bonus. So I literally just dab it into my highlighter and put it over my cheekbone. As you can see, it literally takes my whole cheekbone. So it works really well for highlighter, and then I do it on here and a little bit on my nose, and it just dusts the highlighter really well and evens it all out. So that is my top one, and it is probably the prettiest brush that I own, along with this other Spectrum one, which is from the same range and collection. So this is the Spectrum B01 brush. So this is a buffer brush, whatever you want to call it. So this helps to buff your foundation in and blend it in really nicely, makes it look really natural. It can also be used for primers to make them go into the skin nicely, and I just think that this one gives your foundation a really lovely finish. It makes it blend really well, makes sure there's no harsh lines. It can go nicely underneath your neck to make sure that you don't get that dreaded foundation line, and it goes all around the face nicely, all into the nose, around the eye really nicely. So, and it just buffs your foundation in and makes it look more like skin rather than making it look cakey. So this is another winner for me. Spectrum are definitely one of the best brush brands for me, because not only do they look gorgeous, and they're always coming out with new collections, and the hairs are really well made, good quality, and I don't think for the quality of the brushes they are overpriced. I think they're really good brushes. So next up is the brush that I always use for my bronzer. I use this brush literally every day. So this one is the Eco Tools. I'm not sure what brush it is because I've had it so long, but I mean it's the big powder brush, so I think it's probably the powder or bronzer brush. But I really love this brush, as I say, for my bronzer. It works really well, makes it look really nice and natural, blends in well with the foundation, and it's a nice big one, so you're not there for ages applying it. So it works really well for the outer section of your face. I really like this one I use it on my forehead and then just bring it down to under my cheekbone. So I sometimes use this for my contour as well, like powder contour. and I bring it down to my cheekbones and then to my jawline. So it's literally like this, and then to my jawline, and then on my neck, and it just makes it look really nice, blends it quick and easy, and it's a nice big one, as I say, so it doesn't take long to apply your bronzer with this one. So next up is going to be another powder brush. This is the MAC 129 brush. So this is again just like a fluffy brush. It's not too big, so it's good for like targeting certain areas with your powder. Yeah, I really like this one. It doesn't take too much product when you're using powder. It doesn't take too much product up, like unnecessary product. It fits really well to like the areas of your face where you want to apply powder. For example, for me, in between my eyebrows and my forehead, and around my chin, around my nose area. This one is a really good one. It's nice and light, nice and fluffy, and it's not too dense, because I don't like with dense powder brushes when it all gets stuck in the bristles, and it can make like the denser the brushes, I believe, you look more cakey because the powder collects, and every time you reuse your brush, unless you wash it every time, which isn't really realistic, every time you reuse your brush the powder builds up. So with this one it's nice and fluffy, so you don't get too much excess powder, which is a win for me, because I don't like the cakey look. I like to look as kind of dewy and glowy as possible, even though I do have slightly oily skin. So, and then next up is another foundation kind of buff brush. So this is the Bobbi Brown, and I think it's the Face Full Coverage brush, something like that. So yeah, this is the Bobbi Brown one. So this one is a bit more, it's quite different to this Spectrum one. I mean, I use them both for the same thing, but I would say this one I use more every day, and this one I use when I want more full coverage, because I think that this one has, I would say it's a bit more densely packed than this one, and I just feel like, I mean, they both make your foundation look quite natural. They don't make it look too like cake or anything like that, but this one I find gives you a bit more full coverage, like packs it on more if you're going out or if you've got like a special occasion or something like that. Whereas this one I use more every day. So yeah, I like this one. This one was probably the most expensive brush that I own. It was a bit of a splurge. I bought this one with one of my first wage packets to like treat myself. I think it was like £40 or £45 or something, which is obviously quite expensive for one brush, but the quality of the hairs are really good, and it's really nice and soft, and yeah, it just blends really nicely. And I mean, it was a bit expensive for a brush, and I probably wouldn't pay that when there's now brands like Spectrum which do really well for quite reasonable prices, really good brushes. But this one is a good one, and I feel like it will always become handy. It's not like an eye brush. Like for me to spend money on a brush, it would have to be a base brush making my foundation look seamless, rather than say an eye brush that I wouldn't use as much. So I like this one. And then number 6 is going to be another highlight slash under eye powder brush. So sometimes I use this to powder my under eyes to set my concealer, and sometimes I use this for my highlighter. It is the Sigma tapered highlighter brush. So this is the F35 brush. So as you can see, it fits really nicely under the eye to set concealer, set concealer using powder. It's a nice one for loose powder, so this is a good one. But this is also, I usually use this if I want a more intense highlight. So with excuse me, so with this one, I use this one if I want my highlight to look as natural as possible, to spread it like evenly across the face. But I mean, both of these I usually spray with say like my MAC Fix Plus or something like that to make the pigment more intense. But this one I use when if I want more of an intense highlight. So I will literally focus it on this point of my face, of my cheekbone, like right on here on the high point, rather than with the fan brush it kind of spreads gets the whole cheekbone. This one can just get intense, so I usually use this, spray it, and then over like a cream highlighter I use this one, really focusing on certain points to make a more intense highlight. And I really like this one. Again, it's really soft, it's tapered, so it's handy to get precise application with your product. And yeah, it's another really good one. So next up for me is a blusher brush. So again, I'm with my blusher, I don't like it too intense. I'm not about the whole like bright pink blusher or anything like that. I prefer like a peachy or a coral blush, quite subtle, sometimes with a little bit of shimmer in it, but not too much, just to give you more of a glow and to like seam into that highlight. But I do think with my blusher it's really important to have a good brush, because if the brush doesn't work for me, the blush can look too intense and not blend very well. So this one is the Real Techniques blush brush, and I've had this for such a long time, and it's the only brush I ever use for my blusher, ever. So if I smile and apply my blush, it just goes onto the cheek really nicely, and you can either blend it upwards or just pat it on, and it fits the cheek perfectly. So I love this one, I love the colour, and it's really light and fluffy again, so there's no excess powder build up, which can again make it look cakey and not very natural or anything like that. So this is why I like this one. And I think I will always use this for my blusher, because it's just perfect to make it look just really natural and just blend into the rest of your makeup really well. And like I said, it's light and fluffy, so the build up on powder and the applying the product isn't too intense. So again, really like this one. So next, with the Real Techniques theme, is this one was a big craze a few years ago. Everyone used this for their foundation, and then it kind of died down a bit, but I think it's still like a staple product in lots of people's brush collection. This is the Real Techniques, I think it's a Expert Face Brush. Yeah, the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. So I really like this one because it's the bristles are more, the brush hairs are more dense, they're more tightly packed together. But I don't use this one for my foundation because I feel like I prefer a rounded head, like a more round head. I really love this one for cream contour. For applying cream contour, it's a dream. It works so well. So I always use this, as I say, in a cream contour palette. Just put a little bit on, and then it fits perfectly under my cheekbone, and I literally go in circular movements as I go along and just buff it in, and it works so nicely and blends it in really, really well. Again, I wouldn't really use this for powder contour, but for cream contour it's perfect. It also goes really well along the forehead, really nicely, and then along the jawline it also goes really nicely. So yeah, it just blends it in really well. Again, gets a good amount of product, but because the bristles are dense, it just buffs it in really well, blends it in easily, and yes, that's why I like to use this one. Next up, so brush number 9 is my Anastasia Beverly Hills, I think it's a dual ended brush, it's number 12, brush 12. So on one side it has this like angled brush for applying brow product, which that's really good. It's really good for applying their brow pomades. The reason I am featuring this brush is more for the other end, which is the spoolie end. So I really like this one because it just gets every single eyebrow hair and just really nicely brushes them through to the very end. And again, like I said before, with my eyebrows, because my eyebrow hairs are so long, they really do need taming with a good brush. So this is why I love this one, because it gets every single eyebrow hair, brushes them all in the right direction through to the very end, brushes the ones at the front up nicely. And also I really like using this one before and then after applying product or gels or anything like that, because they brush the product through really nicely, make it look even, it doesn't create any gaps in your brows or anything like that, and it just brushes the product through perfectly, making your brows look natural and even, which is a big thing for me. So this is why I love this one. And then last but definitely not least, because I can never apply my makeup without this, it's not a brush, but I'm featuring it as a brush because it's just, it might as well be my brush, because out of all my brushes, I love every single one, but if I could only live with one thing and get rid of all my brushes and I had to live with one thing, it would be this. So of course it is the Beauty Blender. So I love this sponge. It is literally, it changed the way I did my makeup when I first bought this sponge. I also have the Real Techniques one and I love that as well, but I do feel like if you can splurge out on this one, do, because I find it lasts a hell of a lot longer. This is expensive, but literally this black one I've had for about a year and the one before that I had it months and months and months. So they do last such a long time, they really do, and they will be on my Christmas list this year. I do like the Real Techniques one because it has a different, you know, like the end it has on it, like a slanted edge. That's really good for getting under your eyes and applying powder, but as I say, it doesn't last as long. So I love this one. I use it to apply my, sometimes, so I'll apply my foundation with usually this or the Bobbi Brown one, and then what I'll do is I'll go over it always with my Beauty Blender, usually damp. There's no, again, harsh lines. It can look as natural as possible. And I also use it to apply my concealer and again sometimes my powder, depending on how much I want to use it. And I really love this. It's right, so like with my eyebrows, sometimes if I'm applying foundation, I want it to look, I don't want there to be like any gaps or patches or anything like that. So it goes right on my eyebrows nicely, right underneath my eyebrows nicely, whether it's concealer or foundation, around my nose nicely, under my eyes, and it just dabs the product in so nicely, and it really pushes the product into your skin. So it really does make it look as natural as possible, which again is a big plus for me, and I could not live without this one. So Beauty Blender is probably my number one. If I had to choose anything out of all these brushes, that would be my number one. I will link below all of the brushes and sponges and products, whatever I've mentioned in here, so they will all be down below, so you can look at prices, anything like that, where to buy them from. So yeah, as I say, I've done this video because I like watching top 10 videos myself, and I really do think that brushes are the secret to having flawless makeup, by having good tools and good brushes and stuff like that. So I also have a specific way that I clean my brushes, which I'm thinking of doing another video on, like watching videos like that to get like tips and stuff. So, and I think it's important for me, I want to do videos that I enjoy watching. I don't want to sit here and do videos that I won't enjoy watching. So if you liked this video, I would love it if you gave it a thumbs up, and also subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. There will be a link up here somewhere to subscribe, and also there'll be another link for my last video, so if you're interested in watching that. And I'll also link all my other social media channels and stuff down below, so you can see if you want to. And yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye!